Hi guys, is everyone in Reform UK a liar and a charlatan? Because the recent defection from the Conservatives to Reform UK by Danny Kruger demonstrates that he, at least, is a bit of a charlatan. Have a listen to this.
So this latest YouGov MRP poll, which looks at polling seat by seat, a seat-by-seat projection, makes for pretty good reading for Reform and pretty bad reading, particularly for the Tories. What do you make of that? And is this one of the reasons that you chose to leave the Tories for Reform, because they are polling well?
Well, I'm encouraged to hear this news. I mean, obviously, Reform have been doing better and better over the last year. I mean, I left the Conservatives for the simple reason that I don't think they represent the best chance for Conservative politics, the politics that I stand for. And they're no longer the vehicle for the change that this country is so desperately in need of. And the sad fact is, because it's painful for me personally because of my friendships there, that my view is that people who want conservative politics in this country need to back the party and the leader who've demonstrated over the years the consistency, the resilience, the vision, and now have the public support. That means they're the best chance we have for removing Labour and getting the kind of change that we need.
And you worked for many Tory leaders. You worked closely with David Cameron and Boris Johnson, for example. You were seen as a Tory stalwart. So what's the reaction been from your former Tory colleagues to your defection?
More sadness than anger. And I mean, I'm sure there are people who are, very dismayed by what I've done, and I understand that. And on a personal level, it's no fun. But that's not what we're here for. We've got to do what we think is right for our constituents and the country. And actually, I mean, I'm afraid the fact is a lot of Conservative colleagues, both nationally and locally, and friends in the party, increasingly recognise that the Conservative Party itself is a roadblock to the sort of Conservative politics that we all feel we need. So, I mean, overall, the reaction has been muted, I would say. I haven't had a lot of vitriol or aggression, and a lot of people have privately said they understand why I've done what I have.
If there is that level of understanding and you have such faith in your new party, why are you not holding a by-election in your constituency? There's now an online petition of more than 3,000 calling for that. Do you not owe it to your constituents?
The way it works is you're elected for a term, you're elected to use your own judgment, and if your constituents don't approve of what you've done, they'll say so at the next election. I think there is a case for a by-election if you're swapping sides in the House of Commons, if you're leaving the government to support the opposition or vice versa. What I'm simply doing is literally moving a few seats along on the opposition benches. I'm going to do exactly the same job that I've been doing hitherto, which is opposing the Labour government, speaking up for Conservative principles, representing my constituents in exactly the same way as I did before.
What an absolute charlatan. And once again, I mentioned before how Nigel Farage had called for a by-election when it came to a Tory defecting to Labour some years ago. And now when it comes to a Tory defecting to Reform, silence. Now, Danny Kruger is also a bit of a charlatan because at the beginning of this interview, if you heard, he said, and I'm paraphrasing here, the Conservative Party is no longer conservative. The party is a roadblock to conservative values, conservative policies, and it's pretty much over. Paraphrasing once again. And then he said, well, nothing has really changed, so there's no need for a by-election. So you abandoned the party because you believe the party is no longer conservative, but you're also saying we don't need a by-election because, well, I haven't really moved at all. I'm going to be exactly the same. No, look, I've mentioned before, you're elected as an MP in part because of what you're doing for your constituents, but in part also because of the party you represent. So when people vote for you, they're in part, some people are voting just for you, some people are voting just for the party, some people are voting for you and the party. But by not holding a by-election, you're denying the people the right to vote on you as a political figure representing a party, because you've even said it yourself. The Conservative Party's values are different to Reform UK. So obviously, if the policies that you're going to push are different, then the voters should have a choice in that matter. But you're denying them that choice. This guy was elected just last year. So he's going to have a number of years supporting Reform UK, and the constituents have can do nothing about it. Now, he's also, I believe, afraid of calling a by-election because there's a good chance that he would lose his seat. Because this is a pretty strong Conservative seat, and I think if the Conservatives ran a candidate there, there's a good chance they would win it back. And of course, this would be embarrassing for both Danny Kruger and Reform UK. It'd be horrible for them to see a defection and then see them lose the seat. It would really undermine the party. Now, I don't know if that would actually happen, but we'll never know because he's denying the constituents a by-election. Now, there's a petition. We'll have to wait and see if that gets any traction. But at the end of the day, unless he's committed a crime, I believe, or unless Parliament decides that he needs to call a by-election, nothing is going to happen. So he's pretty much safe. But this is really dishonest. Once again, Nigel Farage calling for a by-election when it came to a Tory defection to Labour some years ago. And now when it's the other way round, in a sense, nothing. Because he doesn't care. And, what does it say about Reform where they'll say, look, we are replacing the Conservative Party, but we're too afraid to call a by-election to test the waters, to prove that we're more popular than the Conservatives. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.